chosen ones. This message is for you, not the ones chasing the crowd, but the ones heaven has been cultivating in silence. The ones who were set apart, not celebrated. Hidden, not forgotten. Misunderstood, not misplaced. You've walked through seasons where your faith was tested, your identity questioned, and your worth underestimated. But even in the silence, God was speaking. Even in the waiting, He was working. And now something is shifting. Not by chance. Not by force. But by divine appointment. Because when God says it's time to reveal what He's refined, no voice, no gate, no lie can stand in the way. This is your moment. Let's talk about what happens when the chosen ones rise. You were in process, still unfolding under the careful hand of God, so you didn't waste your energy trying to explain your becoming to those committed to misunderstanding it. You didn't fight for validation or retaliate with words, because something inside you knew that real growth rarely comes with applause, and true purpose doesn't always bring clarity in the moment. So you let them talk, you let them speculate, you let them label your season as failure, unaware that what they called falling was God planting you deep. Just like He prepared David in obscurity and Joseph in confinement, He was building you behind the curtain. But the shift has begun. What was hidden is now emerging. What was buried is rising. As Psalm 18 verse 19 says, He brought me out into a spacious place, He rescued me because He delighted in me, and now truth is rising like morning light to silence every shadow that tried to define you. God is completing what He started, and your name is being reattached not to your pain but to your purpose. They mistook your stillness for surrender. They saw the silence and assumed the story was over. But heaven knew better. You weren't delayed by failure, you were positioned by divine timing. What they perceived as an ending was only the beginning of God's setup. You weren't failing, you were being rooted. And what's rooted in faith always rises with force. As Habakkuk 2 verse 3 reminds us, for the vision is yet for the appointed time. Though it linger, wait for it, it will certainly come and will not delay. That appointed time is now. The mocking has turned to marveling. The fire didn't consume you, it refined you. The narrative is changing, not by noise but by the weight of what God has done in silence. This is not about proving a point. This is about fulfilling a promise. There's a divine interruption underway, not for show, not for revenge, but for justice. God is revealing what He protected. You weren't made to fit their box, and now heaven is breaking you out of it. Like Gideon hidden in the winepress, your obscurity was never your ending. As Romans 8 verse 19 declares, the creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. And revealed you shall be with clarity, with purpose, with the authority that only God can assign. They kept referencing who you used to be because they never had the vision to see who you were becoming. They underestimated the power of healing, the grace in solitude, and the quiet strength forged in the fire. You didn't chase validation. You embraced transformation. You didn't react, you evolved. As Psalm 40 verse 2 says, He lifted me out of the slimy pit. He set my feet on a rock and gave me a firm place to stand. You stand now, not to impress, but to testify. And while they whispered in shadows, hoping their lies would travel faster than your truth, God was preparing your table. Not for vengeance, but for visibility. Not for ego, but for evidence. As Zephaniah 3 verse 19 promises, I will give them praise and honor in every land where they have suffered shame. This is not your exposure. It's theirs. And it won't be loud. It will be surgical, precise, undeniable. You'll walk into rooms that once overlooked you, and this time they won't be able to look away. You'll speak the same truth they once rejected, and this time they'll feel the weight behind it. Because while you stayed grounded, God was shifting the atmosphere. While you were healing in silence, He was preparing honor to meet you in public. And now the lens is changing. Not to inflate you, but to reflect you. Not a glow UPA God move. They assumed wrong. This isn't karma. This is heaven stepping in with justice. This is the outcome of faith that didn't quit. Of trust that endured without applause. This is what happens when you refuse to let go of the promise even in silence. When your identity was questioned, but your spirit remained anchored. As Galatians 6 verse 9 reminds us, let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. You carried the weight of becoming while being misunderstood. You stayed soft in a hard season. You were too deep for the shallow, too awake to play blind, too kind to become bitter, and now the same depth they couldn't define is the oil God is using to mark you. You weren't overlooked. You were preserved. You weren't forgotten. You were being fortified. So here it comes, not a spotlight, but a steady revealing. Not to prove who you are, but to confirm what heaven has already written. And this time, no one will be able to mislabel you again. When the time comes for you to be seen clearly, no lie, no delay, no shadow can bury what God has been building in you beneath the surface. This is not the restoration of a reputation, it's the revelation of a calling, a total rewrite authored by heaven, not by human approval, not by applause. And here's the truth: your silence wasn't weakness, your patience wasn't passivity, your humility wasn't hesitation, because God saw differently, and as James 4 verse 10 says, humble yourselves before the Lord, and He will lift you up. That lifting is happening not because you pushed for visibility, but because you let the refining happen in the dark, and what was hidden is now ready to be unmistakably seen. None of this was weakness, it was divine strategy, wisdom wrapped in waiting, heaven's hand perfectly positioning you, and the timing has now shifted, the atmosphere has changed, and this is your season of divine alignment, where your presence begins to silence every false narrative, where the doors that once dismissed you open wide, not because of your resume but because of God's yes. For as Isaiah 22 verse 22 says, I will place on his shoulder the key to the house of David. What he opens no one can shut, and what he shuts no one can open. And now the same doors that once shut in your face are swinging open on divine hinges. You'll recognize it not by sudden kindness, but by how resistance turns to reverence. The tone of the room changes. The ones who once saw you as a dreamer now see you as the design, not because you sought recognition, but because you were faithful in the quiet, obedient in the unseen. And now Ecclesiastes 8 verse 6 comes alive, for there is a proper time and procedure for every matter. Though a person may be weighed down by misery, the weight has broken, the timing has come, and the vision is now undeniable. You kept becoming in the dark, steady in storms, generous in lack, wise through pain, and that kind of growth builds foundations no performance ever could. And what's rising in your life now is not hype, but heaven's hand, not spotlight, but spiritual strength, because as Hosea 14 verses 5 to 6 declares, I will be like the dew to Israel, he will blossom like a lily. Like a cedar of Lebanon he will send down his roots, his young shoots will grow, and what looked like delay was God deepening your roots. It's the fruit of quiet obedience, of unseen preparation, and while others thought you were falling behind, heaven was endorsing your name. And when God backs you, no system, no person, no resistance can override that assignment. Reputation isn't what people say, it's the echo your life produces when your fruit starts speaking louder than your past. And now your life is about to echo something different, not just recognition, but rest, not just attention, but authority, because you'll walk into old rooms with new peace, hear old opinions with fresh indifference, face old critics with holy stillness, because as Exodus 14 verse 14 promises, the Lord will fight for you, you need only to be still, and that stillness has made you strong. Your reputation is no longer your responsibility. God is managing what used to keep you up at night, and the fruit of that surrender is about to show up in unimaginable ways, with doors opening that your resume didn't earn, with opportunities arriving not because of formula, but because of favor, because as 1 Corinthians 1 verses 27 to 29 reminds us, but God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise, so that no one may boast before him, and the only explanation for this next level will be God. You didn't chase the spotlight, you chose to keep becoming, and now your alignment is making noise your marketing never could, because you stopped trying to explain your light to those committed to dimming it. And now, as Job 8 verse 21 declares, he will yet fill your mouth with laughter and your lips with shouts of joy. Things are catching up. The ones who watched in silence are about to speak with new reverence. Ones who dismissed you are adjusting their tone, not out of apology, but out of awe, because they can't deny what rests on you. And here you don't need revenge, because what God is doing is better than vindication, it's redemption. As Psalm 18 verse 27 says, you save the humble but bring low those whose eyes are haughty. And this isn't just your rise, it's heaven's justice. This is what it looks like when God wipes the fog from your reflection. You're not being introduced, you're being revealed. And that's different, because anyone can perform their way to attention, but only the chosen are elevated without compromise, and that's who you are, called, planted, sustained, and now lifted. You didn't fight to be seen, you fought to stay true, and because of that, this shift is not just public, it's prophetic, it's not temporary, it's permanent, because heaven sealed it, and you can walk forward without fear, without the need to prove, because your walk speaks, your fruit speaks, and your presence tells the story they can no longer deny. and as Isaiah 62 verse 3 says, you will be a crown of splendor in the Lord's hand, a royal diadem in the hand of your God, and now that crown is visible, and they won't be able to look away. Thank you for walking this journey with me. If this message met you where you are, like it, share it with someone who needs this truth, and subscribe so we can keep rising together. Don't just scroll past this, share the video with the person God just placed on your heart. Your journey is far from over. Choose one of the videos on your screen that speaks to your next step, and I'll meet you there.